and Galeer, the kings of the ring. Dropkick the Commute, we're just getting started still. Mufussy and Galeer.
They do this. I've been doing yoga. They do this a lot in yoga.
Oh yeah?
And you get them really hot, and then you do this. You like create that
Mine
friction.
doesn't work. My beard's in the way.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dropkick the Commute, the only podcast on the internet where two white dudes talk about wrestling, and one of them is driving. Except for this one, because I am in my home. And Mufussy, what happens when I'm home and on the camera? Why am I home?
We have a guest.
Oh my god, that's so crazy.
Oh my God.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by the man, the myth. Some might call him a legend, some might call him a jobber. Depends on who you ask.
Hey.
Kero Valentine. How are you doing, my friend?
Yes, that's me. I'm doing good. How about you guys? We're looking fine today.
Yeah, we're doing fantastic. You're looking quite dapper yourself, young man.
Oh,
you got the shirt. It's serving it's giving me like Retribution 2020 vibes.
Oh god.
You look like you're a part of Retribution.
Take it back.
Please, yeah. What the hell?
Rewind.
Come
Oh
on.
my
Call me a
God.
jobber.
All right.
Retribution.
You want him to
Call me a
leave,
jobber.
Galeer? You're trying to get him out of here?
All right, PR. We're any percent speed run. How quick can we get a guest to leave?
You came close. You know what?
Okay.
Let's continue. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see where this goes. Hopefully, he can tolerate us. We're paying
Yeah.
him a lot of money to be on here, guys.
Yeah, totally.
So let's not talk about that though. Let's move on.
Yeah. We'll keep it. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Bleep it all out. Actually, put a censor
Yeah.
bleep over the whole
Of
thing.
course.
Forget about it.
You are a content creator in 2 different countries.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in a little bit. But aside from content creation, you're also a wrestling fan. That's obviously why we have you here. This is a wrestling a channel where we talk about pro wrestling and content creators that cover pro wrestling. But yeah, just let us know our introduction to Kero Valentine. Who are you?
I started doing YouTube back in 2013 or something, doing it in Turkish because that's where I was born and raised. That's my country of origin. And maybe a couple of years into it, I started doing wrestling content. Beforehand, I didn't do it because I didn't know how it was perceived in Turkey. Like if people would like it or if maybe people would just crap on it if I put it out there. That was my thought process. And one day, 2K24, not 24, 14 came out. I always confuse them for some reason. And it had the Defeat the Streak Undertaker mode. And I just loved it. So I wanted to say, you know what? I'm just going to make a video about it. I'm going to put it out there. And however people react to it, I'm fine with it. And I think it got like 30K views, which at the time I was getting not too many videos with 30K views. So I was like, okay, I was not expecting this. And on top of that, people reacted to it positively. So I started putting a couple of other wrestling game videos out there. And then that couple turned into 100, into 1,000. And then just, I think 2 years ago, I really started going hard on Kero Valentine, which is, again, a professional wrestling channel. Mostly, I do other stuff as well on the side. But it was completely in English. And this was something I always wanted to do. But the main reason why I started doing this in English in a more concrete manner was the same reason I'm here. It's
Good old money.
Good old money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, well, we're all trying to chase that bag, right? As it were. And you know, it is a grind.
Yeah, I mean,
and you know, we can obviously speak to the grind. We're both, you know, we both used to stream separately and make content separately before we like came together for this project. So, I totally get that. But before we kind of dive deep more into, you know, the content you were doing, I'm curious on like how long you've been a wrestling fan and like how you got into wrestling or when or both.
How long have I been a wrestling fan? But I think I started really watching around 2009. 2009, I would say. So however many years that is, I've been a wrestling fan since then because around 2009, especially when a feud between CM Punk and Jeff Hardy was going on.
Oh, yeah.
I'm straight edge or live for the moment. And then Jeff Hardy got kicked out of the WWE. At the time, we thought it was real. We thought it was because CM Punk beat him. I had no idea, obviously, about how wrestling worked. It was crazy. But initially, I just kept up with it because 2009, the best way I can put it was our Attitude Era in Turkey. You would see people wearing John Cena shirts who had no idea what professional wrestling was. It was just t-shirts were everywhere, and people would just buy them and wear them. So like you would not be able to run away from professional wrestling at that date in Turkey. It was almost on, I think, prime time. Right after the news, you would have an episode of SmackDown or Raw come out. The funny thing was actually we were always 3 weeks behind because we didn't have subtitles. We would do what do you call it? Voiceovers. So it was always really, really delayed. But at the time, this is 2009. Sure, we had internet again, but I mean, this is basically the infancy of social media. So we weren't getting any spoilers either. So even if we were 3 weeks behind, at the time, I didn't really speak that much English either. Now that I think about it, but yeah, that's how it started. And then I remember like clearly that after Jeff Hardy lost and got kicked out of the company, most of my friends who were fanatically watching this like gave up immediately and they stopped watching it. But for some reason, I really enjoyed the games and I kept playing them. And that's what really kept me connected with wrestling. And eventually social media came into the picture, Facebook, that's where it started for me. I was seeing like videos of Matt Hardy, I remember. He was like in turmoil with the WWE as well. I was like, whoa, what's going on? Is he going to leave? But yeah, eventually, like I just found myself on the YouTube algorithm, the early YouTube algorithm, of course. And like I was watching guys like CM Pulse. I think he was number one, Tony Pizza guy as well. And especially CM Pulse was doing like this wrestling review shows. That's when I really started to hear all these weird terms of like jobber, like all the terms that we know, the insider ones. And the more I saw the curtain kind of go back, the more I started to get interested in it. I don't know why. It just, it felt like a magic trick. And once I saw how it worked, like I said, it just got me more interested. And then, a little after that, the Summer of Punk happened. And at that time, with that happening, I was pretty much hooked. And I started watching every week, mostly the highlights though, because in Turkey, again, we have the time difference. It is 11 p.m. right now for me, and for you guys, it's 4 p.m. So we have that 7 hours. So for us, it's always been Raw and SmackDown, and even the pay-per-view start at 3 a.m., right? So earlier when I was a kid, my father is a strict person, and he would hate for anybody to stay, up after 12 a.m., and he would get really angry and make me go to sleep. So I just have many nights like going crazy, making all these weird, movements, but I could not make a sound. Like, for example, when Dean Ambrose cashed in and won the WWE Championship, I was just going crazy, jumping around, but yeah, just silently. And I was just super scared and on edge all the time. What if my father, opens the door and like, how am I going to explain this? So I think it's a very Turkish thing. I'm sure if there's a country with a different time zone, people there might have similar viewpoints. And there's the aspect of, especially when I was younger, like your parents, and this goes for you guys as well, is like, oh, this is just really bad, they're saying bad words, they're hitting each other, there's blood. Like I had no idea how my parents would react to it. And so it was interesting. But yeah, that's how I slowly ended up becoming engulfed in this. And over time, I actually even wanted to, get in the ring and try it myself as well. But that's, I guess, the gist of the story.
I did want to ask you about some of the big like cultural differences between like wrestling fans in Turkey and wrestling fans in I guess Canada or the States. Is like, because obviously wrestling and I feel like video games too connect different cultures so easily. It's just like, you're both passionate about something, whether there's a language barrier or a cultural difference, you're still connected and you can share that passion for that topic. So what are some of the main like cultural differences you've noticed with like wrestling fans in Turkey or wrestling fans on our side here?
That's a good question. I think the number one thing, like as soon as you ask this question, that comes to my mind is the difference between the favorites of the people. Like, let's say Cody is way bigger in America and in Canada. I
Yeah.
would guess for obvious reasons. Same as Jey Uso, actually. I remember going to Money in the Bank in Canada. Yeah, like that was my first and only ever WWE show. So
Was Money in the Bank?
yeah, Money in the Bank this year. Yeah. So what really surprised me was like throughout the city in Toronto, around Scotiabank Arena, everybody, nearly 90%, 99% of the people I saw were wearing Jey Uso shirts, like the Yeet shirt. And I couldn't believe it. In Turkey, we're much more, I guess, engulfed with the older legendary guys and stronger guys. Like, so
Mm.
Roman Reigns is liked a lot more. Brock Lesnar is liked way more. Randy Orton, like, if he was going against Cody, most of the people in Turkey will pick Randy Orton, way more than in the USA. I mean, we have the same camps of like the Cody crybabies and
Yeah.
that whole bunch as well. But I think in Turkey, definitely are more, favorite.
It's like all
old
the big
school.
older legends. It's
Pretty
like
much,
it's
pretty
like
much.
it's almost like it's like behind in the fan base. Like it's still like connected to all the older
Yeah.
people. And the US is like, hey, give me the next one. Like give me the next guy. But
Exactly.
oh, that makes sense.
know-
So that's interesting.
You know how I mentioned 2009 was our Attitude Era?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why people really like John Cena still to this day, or like even Rey Mysterio. I mean, holy cow. Like he was
Dude.
another person.
He was
Yeah.
the guy,
People-
and Jeff Hardy
Yeah.
too. You mentioned that feud with CM Punk. That was like one of the feuds that got me into it.
Yeah.
It pushed me to get I can't remember what order it was, but I got SmackDown versus Raw 09. And either I started watching after that, or I watched the CM Punk Jeff Hardy thing and then started playing. And it's cool, Mufussy, too, that you mentioned the how like people are connected through wrestling and video games in
Yeah.
similar ways. It's also funny how similar like wrestling is to a video game. I'm trying like what's a finisher that someone uses that's just like a move but they're doing it. You know what I mean? Like
Well, a super kick. Like
like a super kick,
yeah,
or like even like a spear.
yeah,
like
a spear at
is
this
just,
point, yeah.
It's like holds so much more power because like Roman Reigns does it, or because Edge does
Yeah.
it. It's one of those nuances of pro wrestling that's very like only in that or a video game. And so I think
that's a good
too
point.
where
That's
a
a
lot
good
of people are like pulled into it, is that it's
Mm.
very similar to a video game. And like our last guest that we had, Deporticus, was talking about like how he played one of the old school games, and to him it was just like he didn't watch wrestling, so to him it was just like playing like Smash. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like
right,
playing
right,
some
right,
Smash
right.
Brothers.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
Or
yeah,
Mortal
funny.
Kombat, yeah, is what he said. It's like
Right.
they were just fighting characters for him. So
I mean, I think NetherRealms did do like a WWE game. So
yeah.
could happen again. In fact, I would love if they did it again in 2024 or 25. Like, I really would love to see some iteration in the wrestling game
yeah.
sphere. But I know that's not part of the question.
Since we're on the topic of video games,
Mm-hmm.
outside of wrestling, like what are some like what games do you like to play, or like what kind of fandoms or niches do you follow?
I am definitely a single player guy.
Oh yeah.
Same.
yeah.
That's a
In
good
the past-
answer. I like it.
Yeah, in the past, I would play the hell out of Counter-Strike, whether it was 1.3, 1.6, Source, Global Offensive. Global Offensive was where I just fell off. And, I played a bit of PUBG and Valorant just because my friends basically put me in a chokehold and dragged me.
You're
into
coming
I
those
feel like
games.
that's how it went
Yeah.
for all of us.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I still got
But
friends hounding me to play Valorant with them. and
still, man, it's 2000. Come on.
That's what I'm saying. If you guys are watching this, come on.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
I'm very passionate about not playing Valorant,
Mm,
but to each
yeah.
their own. Anyways,
Yeah. I mean, I guess, yeah. Besides those, though, majority of the time, I'm a single player guy, and I particularly love RPG games with story. So, like, I heard there was another person, I think it was a YouTuber, calling Elden Ring Elden Mid or something like that. To me, I'm not saying it's the same, but I feel like it kind of too, because like it's such a great game with hundreds of different, bosses and mechanics, but I need that story, man. So
You
that's
gotta
why
make the story yourself in Elden Ring, pretty
Exactly.
much.
exactly,
Yeah.
man. Like just doesn't captivate me. But games made by CD Projekt Red, for example, Witcher
Yeah.
3 or Cyberpunk, for all its faults now, I think with the latest expansion pack, I think it's really good. I love that. And fighting games, I only dip into Mortal Kombat very little. I love Tekken. That would be my favorite fighting game. But yeah, like even before coming here, there's a lot of news dropping about Dragon Age the Vanguard. I'm a big fan of those
Yeah, I'm
series as well,
excited
Mass
for that.
Effect as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like they just showed off the character creator. It looks, I think it looks better than the people are saying. Like they're really roasting that game, and it makes me sad because I really think we might have a sleeper hit for this year, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I have to also mention Baldur's Gate 3, of course. Like
I was gonna mention Baldur's Gate 3 because I actually
Yeah.
started playing, or I tried it
So
out for
good.
the first time this
So
weekend.
good.
So, and I tried it out on someone else's PC when I was over a friend's house, but I like played for like a half hour and I was hooked on it. So
It is such an incredible game because it's like you can think of, you're like, oh, can I do this? But it's like something super complicated. They
Yeah.
thought of it. They thought of the answer. That
Right.
they already thought of what you're going to attempt to do,
Yeah.
and it's like
Yeah.
so perfect. It's such a good game.
I think what appeals to me is like I'm not like a D&D guy by any means.
Yeah.
I've tried doing D&D and it's just not for me. For some reason, I love it in
I'm
that
exactly the
format
same,
with,
yeah.
with like rolling.
Right.
And I think honestly for me, it's like the time commitment of like doing D&D like every week with friends or something like that. But like doing it in the video game format is just like
Yeah.
I don't know, it appeals to me.
Yeah, I am kind of curious, real quick. Like, what class did you choose? Did you get to create your own character? Because you said you played for 30 minutes.
I actually just played on his save file. I don't even.
Okay.
I think does Rogue ring a bell? Right.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
a class.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure I was a
Good,
rogue, but
good.
like I know little to nothing about it, but I'm like interested enough to pursue it and like get the game for myself.
Hell yeah.
You should, man. Let's do a party. You know, all
I
three
like
of us.
that.
Oh,
We can maybe find another
co-op
person.
Baldur's Gate run.
Let's go,
I
man.
like it.
I'm
We'll get on
ready.
at 4. You'll get on at 11. It'll be great, and you'll
Yeah.
you'll
Like
lose
for
a
1
lot of
hour,
sleep.
man.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you, so your content before you started doing wrestling, because you said you uploaded a wrestling video, it kind of popped off a little bit.
Yeah.
So 30K for you, you were probably freaking out. You're like, oh my God, like it's massive, massive video. So were you mostly doing like gaming content beforehand as well? And obviously still keeping up with it? Do you have like a main game that you do, or you're just kind of whatever's trending? Yeah, and like new games and stuff.
I would say the second option right now because, well, especially after recently getting a full-time job, I don't want to like work the whole time and then come and do videos every day for WWE 2K. No disrespect, okay? But I've been
it's valid.
playing wrestling games for so long now, for thousands and thousands of hours, from WWE 2K to the recent AW Fight Forever to like Kings of Colosseum to freaking No Mercy.
Yeah.
I'm sick and tired. Like, I get burned out really quick. So I need to talk about other games. It could be other wrestling games that I played maybe a little less, or any other game. I sometimes branch out and play anime games or just talk about some of the anime that I like as well. I feel like YouTube nowadays with the algorithm really pushes you to find a niche, right? Oh, if you're doing good with wrestling, you got to stick to it and do 500 videos a day on wrestling. That's the only type of success.
It's true.
And for some, so for some people,
it is
for most
very
people,
hard to be a variety content creator, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on Twitch. I think me and my friend here know that pretty well. But I will say it is good to have like a backup plan, or not even a backup plan, but an alternative if you get burnt out. Like a lot of times, like I will find myself like getting burnt out with wrestling content. So on my own personal channel, I'll do Pokemon videos and things like that. And so it's very like, it's good to have options, but it's unfortunate because the algorithm almost kind of like just backs you into a corner of like you have to do this one thing if you want to be successful. And I mean, unfortunately, like it is true to like there are I say big shouts out to the people that are able to do like variety and like maintain and even the ones who do it full time are very like that's very inspiring. But it's I think situations like that I almost attribute more to like the community and like the audience that they might cater to because I don't know. A lot of people are very picky. They want one channel that has one thing
Right.
more than they'd want like variety. At least that's how I've observed it.
Well, I think it's a very complicated conversation because some people, like my dear friend Kenny Baum from Kiss the Ring, he does variety of stuff. He does wrestling, AEW and WWE stuff, and then he covers Mortal Kombat, and he's pretty much successful in all of those. I think he's just cheating. I think he's paying off the YouTube executives. He's doing something. I don't know. Kenny just does everything, and you can be successful. So, like, yeah, sure. Most people need to stick to a niche, but then you might not need to. There are some proven examples of people, even starting from the bottom per se, where they don't have an established audience, you can still get a video rolling. Like, and I think that makes me really happy. And I think, like, when you said you do a Pokemon video, for example, that's good to hear as well, because you never know. This algorithm right now, I feel like because everybody's picking out videos from the home section and not the subscription feed anymore,
Right.
allows you to kind of experiment a little bit. Right? You can still, with no audience, do a Pokemon video that you're passionate about, and it might just hit right. The keyword is, of course, might, but it
Yeah.
might do that. And yeah, that could be a new door for you. So I think it's always good to try those things, and like doing that Pokemon or just different subject video. I feel like it's sometimes the same as needing to drink water or food. Like, you need to do it for your brain to kind of function normally again.
For creative minds, it's like you have to keep something fresh to be able to keep going and not get burnt out.
Yeah.
And you got to switch it up every once in a while and change the flavor of video. I want to talk about Kiss the Ring. And maybe
go.
this is a better question for Galeer to ask, but I personally, I've never seen Kiss the Ring. Galeer told me about it, and I was like,
Yes.
I gotta watch. I gotta
Oh, dude,
watch them. So,
I watch the uploads every morning when I'm getting ready for work. Like I'll
cool.
just throw them on my drive or whatever. But yeah, you mentioned Kenny Baum, and then of course Brian too, who you do Kiss the Ring. I was curious on like how something like that came about, because if I remember correctly, Kiss the Ring was started by Kenny, right? As like I think it was like started as his own like separate channel for like wrestling. So and then eventually it grew to where like the three of you are kind of like, doing it every week more or less, and you throw in a couple of different I call them like recurring characters like every now and then. So I'm curious on like how that came about, and yeah, whatever you have to say about Kiss the Ring.
There's a lot of history there, even though we've been doing it, I think, for a year now, as far as Kiss the Ring goes. Maybe even less than that, I'm not sure. But a lot happened. Well, first things first, when I started doing Kero Valentine, the English channel, um, I was just doing wrestling stuff, and just actually the same as usual. I was throwing in some different games there, and uh, we got to the release period, or like the hype period of AEW Fight Forever, and so I started making videos about that, about the teases, about everything, and I was just doing that. And I guess my recommendations were also being shaped up by that, because I was doing some research and clicking on every AW Fight Forever video, because I need to make a video on that myself. And so eventually it started recommending me people, and Kenny Baum was one of them. So same as Just Brian as well. I think it was like his video was like, why is AW Fight Forever failing? And I remember the title was good, the video was good, and he had a really good thumbnail. And at the time, I think he's getting close to now 10K subscribers. At the time, he was just considerably smaller as a channel. So I thought, like, wow, this guy's actually pretty good. So I think I subscribed to both of them. And for a while, nothing else happened. And AW Fight Forever came out. Of course, I kept on making videos. And Kenny Baum, in just, I think maybe the first week, was streaming AW Fight Forever. So I was subscribed to him. I saw the stream by chance. I hopped in. I just made a random comment, just whatever, just like a funny joke. I think, at least I thought the joke was funny. I don't remember what it was. And then I thought Kenny would read it. He would maybe see it, right? Not only did he see it, he read it, and then like he followed up by saying on stream that, hey, Kero Valentine, I watch your stream, not your stream, but your content. I see you out there doing your thing. I think you're pretty good, so keep it up. I'm
Hell
like,
yeah.
wow, he was so nice. He's so
Yeah.
nice. And again, we just kind of do a time skip where nothing much happened until one day. I think it was like a week or two after that, maybe even less than that. I find myself in a Twitter group with 6, 7 other channels. Kenny was in there, just Brian was in there, and then we had other YouTubers from the pro wrestling game community in there, and we just had an idea of all of us coming together and doing a channel. And we had a general idea of what we wanted to do, but like, what kind of content would we do? Would it be a podcast? Would we do a lot of gaming? Would we talk about actual wrestling stuff? All of that sort of just came together as we kept producing videos, as we kept meeting up, and basically doing more content. And in the beginning, we called ourselves Off the Top, and we did live podcasts and stuff. And we had a lot more members than some stuff happened. Let's say we handled it in a wrestling ring, and then there was 3 of us, and it was Kenny and Brian and me. And we went with Kiss the Ring, not because the other members stepped away, they left, but mostly because Rikishi, great person, by the way, I think is on the news right now talking about Jimmy Uso. Pray for him.
He just got another DUI or something.
Right.
The last time that happened, they put the SmackDown belts on him, so maybe this is good for him.
Right. I mean, it's crazy. The Anoa'i family, like I remember Roman Reigns having that drug, whatever strike, and he won the United States Championship as punishment. So good to be Samoan,
so we know what the path we need to follow now if we want to be successful in
I love how angry Rikishi gets when like Jey Uso has a segment on Raw or whatever. He like gets so angry. They're like, "What are they doing with my boy?"
I mean, he's not too wrong, but we'll get to that later.
It's true.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't like Rikishi either. I'll come out and say it. I don't think anybody in Kiss the Ring likes Rikishi. Right?
Let the record show, people.
Clip
and
it.
You know what?
Post it.
You know what? I'll speak for both of us.
Okay.
I don't think we like Rikishi either. Just
okay.
Right now, I've just decided this.
Okay.
You know what? This whole video, this everything, free of charge. I'll send you the money.
It's free?
Back.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I didn't have. I'm gonna be honest. We didn't have the money to pay you. So. But anyways, Rikishi. What happened with Rikishi?
He basically started a podcast a couple of months after we started our Off the Top channel, and he named the podcast Off the Top with Rikishi. And he cooked us. He basically destroyed our everything, the algorithm, the search. Like, and now people are going to say Off the Top and it's going to be Rikishi. I don't even know if he continued that podcast, by the way. Certainly doesn't do it consistently like we do. All right. And we had to change our name. And we came up with, at the end of the day, Kiss the Ring. It was, I think, Kenny's idea is to actually get rings with our logo and, show them in the videos.
I like Kiss the Ring better if it goes to show,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a better name.
I thank you for saying that. I think most people we tell the story to, they end up saying the same thing. So I guess we did the right thing by
It definitely, it's a good fit. And I think the 3 of you are like a great combo panel of people, if you will. I feel like y'all have really good chemistry with each other. Sometimes Brian and Kenny seem to get into little tribalistic battles, and then you're kind of there to like, okay, all right, settle down.
Like in the middle point.
Which no, but in all seriousness, I like the energy you guys bring. But no, Kiss the Ring is solid, and it's definitely, it sounds like it's brought you guys like a lot of positive experiences for sure. Unfortunately, there have been some negative experiences, but with a locker room full of egos, you got to settle it in the ring. So
it's true.
You got to do it.
Speaking of settling it in the ring, this actually might be a really good segue. I saw a video kind of recently where you were bumping around in a real life wrestling ring.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I was curious. You know, I didn't understand anything you were saying in the video, unfortunately. But
Come on, man, you don't speak Turkish?
I don't speak Turkish. No,
We're
I'm
gonna have to
only.
learn so that we can do another interview just in Turkish.
Oh,
That'd go
Wait, that would be
crazy.
awesome.
That'd be
Dude,
Or
sick.
even better, we'll just do a voiceover of this one, and it'll be really off sync.
But yeah, and it'll come out 3 weeks later, just like the old
Yeah.
days or whatever.
yeah.
But
mean-
yeah, tell us about you you know, hopping in the ring
hopping in
and
the
like
ring.
how that came to be and how was it? How did it feel?
It started back in 2019, I would say. I think this was like the 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 break between the semesters for university. So I had about a month of basically nothing to do. And at the time, I was in a city that is different from where my family lives. So it was far away as well. So it was just me. A lot of my friends go back to their hometowns for that 1 month break. I decided not to do that. So it was a lot of alone time. And at that time, I think I was around what, 20 years old, or I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I was really just thinking about what I wanted to do in the future because, you know, I was in the middle of university and that's going to come to an end. I have to decide what I'm going to be. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I am skinny right now. I'm working on that, by the way. We'll see.
It's
I'm
all right.
hoping.
Hitting the
Yeah.
gym.
Let's go.
I can
Yeah,
do
yeah.
this. So just it's
Hey,
all good, man.
oh,
Oh, let's go.
I can
Yeah.
do this. Yeah.
Love it.
Um.
Solidarity.
How
Exactly.
far? I mean, I can do that, but not over here. No, I got the opposite problem.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not gonna look. I'm not gonna show my tummy on the podcast, but I got a tummy for a skinny dude. I got quite the tummy.
Right,
So
right.
you know,
Yeah.
there's highs and there's lows. Anyways, this isn't Dropkick the tummy. This is Dropkick the commute. Let's hear about
People got to
wrestling.
pay you for that. Well, basically, I was like, I'm skinny as hell. I was like 55 kilograms. That's like, I don't know how it is in your guys'.
I'm converting
measuring
right
system.
now. Hang
Yeah,
on.
we need
Okay. I was 55 kilograms. So,
That's about 120 pounds.
basically, not even 205, brother. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. He's not even a cruiserweight.
yeah. I'm also a kid that just grew up in front of a computer screen. Not too much social screen experience or
Yeah.
and all that. So I basically had everything working against me when it comes to becoming a professional wrestler. Especially the most important thing was I was in Turkey. There's no wrestling schools in Turkey, and so I think at one night I was just like having an existential crisis. Like I want to have a goal that I want to do. Otherwise, I'm just gonna go crazy. I don't know what I'll do. And so I was in front of the mirror as a mirror, and I said, you know what? I always had this dream in my head, and I mean, I always daydream about like standing in the middle of the ring, winning a championship and stuff like that. Why don't I try it for real? So I said I'm gonna try to become a professional wrestler. And I remember the next day I started going to the gym and doing an actual diet and all that. And also that night, even before the next day happened, I sat in front of my computer and I searched all the wrestling schools in the United Kingdom or in Europe in general, because Turkey is closer to there. It's just like a couple of hour flight, whereas United States is way more difficult, expensive, over 10 hours. So I found WXW in Germany. And at the time I was a huge fan. I still am a huge fan of Gunter. It was Walter back then. I was like, holy shit. Like Gunter has a wrestling school. He's literally one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I think it's great. I gotta go here. And the price was like pretty decent. It wasn't anything crazy. And they still have 1 month stays. But back then they would give you a house and like it would have bunk beds, but it would have a
Damn.
kitchen. It was a pretty good deal. And right now, like you can't do that. You gotta find a house to rent. Like figure that out yourself. So I
Yeah.
was like, I am doing this. And I tried to drag a lot of my friends who were doing who were interesting and who wanted to try to become a professional wrestler as I did, but for many reasons, just life in general, they couldn't come with me. So I went there alone. One big thing I missed actually is at the time we were doing like amateur professional wrestling shows. I say amateur because it was just a bunch of fans like us going in the ring. I was like on the camera. I was doing commentary. Like it was super risky. We were doing it in boxing rings. As a matter of fact, our last show ended when cops came because someone like reported us.
Oh my
Someone
God.
anonymous
man.
reported us saying like, "Oh, they're doing illegal fighting, in this gym. They're betting money on it." Obviously, that was not what was going on. So we had to explain to the police officers what was professional wrestling because they had no idea what it was, and it was just weird. But even that amateur shows going into the ring, I remember taking my first bump because I was watching YouTube videos and I learned how to take bumps on my like mattress, the classic
Yeah.
stuff. I took one in a boxing ring and like it winded me for a good 2 minutes, and I hated life. But just being around that also really just pushed me towards trying this out for real. I think like my theory is, I think he himself would have probably said it too on record. This is exactly what happened to someone like Chris Danger, where he was a huge wrestling fan, but he only started to go train for wrestling when DPW came around and when he was actually around like wrestling in the ring. Even if it was just doing talking and managerial stuff, like it's so addicting
Oh my God.
and
Yeah.
you can't get away from it. So yeah, that's why I ended up going to WXW, and it was tough, man. It was just only for 1 month, and at that time I thought wrestling was tough. I knew a lot about it, but when I went there, I just gained a whole other perspective. And however tough I thought it was, it just became 200 times more tougher, like in my eyes, to actually be a wrestler. Like, not even forget about going to the WWE, AEW, one of the big promotions, just living the lifestyle. Just like understood exactly what it was about.
Right.
But yeah, I always appreciated the experience. Like I got to share basically the same house with like uh Seema's, like, how do I put this? Strong Hearts from, I don't remember their promotion in Japan, but like at the
Right.
time they were wrestling in AEW, and I was like, I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
that was
yeah.
really cool.
Hmm.
So like those guys, the Japanese guys, I don't remember T-Hawk and someone else. I think Lindemann, that's his name. They were just
Mhm.
these two really, really buff Japanese guys. They were really polite, and they would just like, I remember seeing them train, and they would do like 1,000 squats to start off their training and stuff. Like I was like, holy,
Crazy.
Like,
I can
I
barely do
died.
5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like they did it with nothing. They wouldn't even get blown up by the end. So
Yeah,
like
dude.
Japanese training is insane anyways. Like they're on a whole nother level.
Right.
But yeah, that was my first thing. I really wanted to see Gunter as well, as I was a big fan, just to learn from him. But at that time, like the expansion into Europe for WWE was just really kicking in. They were getting all the UK guys, and Gunter was one of the people who got in there. So it was just transitioning away from the wrestling school. So I only got to see his booty shorts. He, like one training session, he forgot him inside basically the training place, and that was the
Like, oh my
closest
God, those are Gunther's.
Yeah.
yeah,
I love
yeah,
that.
yeah. The reason I didn't see him though was because I was a beginner, complete beginner, and he was doing like giving the advanced classes at the time, so
Mhm.
it was kind of tough for me to catch him there. But the other professors or coaches there were really good as well, and I learned a lot. And like yeah, I was just really proud of myself the whole time because like I was doing pretty good back bumps, even though I just did it on mattresses and learned it from YouTube videos. I guess I learned them right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
YouTube
like
University.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Would I do it again though? Those type of stuff? No, because I broke so many beds. So many
Mm.
beds, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. But that was like my first brush. And then when I went to Canada, there was this wrestling school called Superkick Wrestling, headed by Chris Chambers, who's been in the business for over 20 years. He's just really good. And what I appreciate about Canadian wrestling is they really do slow down and try to tell a story more than the USA stuff. I'll put it lightly like that. And I really appreciated that because that's the type of wrestling that I really care about. And in Superkick wrestling, academy. They really just like train you so freaking hard. You hate life, but once you do training matches, like it's that's nothing basically. Because like before the training matches, they make you take and do like 20 body slams, right? But in an actual match, even if it's a training match, you're just gonna do 5, maybe, yeah, at maximum 5 body slam. Like my so I really love that aspect of just training really, really hard when you're actually training and just dying and not being able to really think about anything else. But because of that, when you get into the matches, you're so comfortable that you can think about your facial expressions or how you want to exactly sell this move and where you want to go. Is the match going too fast? Like, that was really something that was fascinating.
It seems like they really train you hard to get the basics down and like the physical movements, and then that way you can focus on like the psychology of the
Yeah.
wrestling and like all the what really makes the meat of wrestling, you know, like the storytelling and stuff, which
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
super cool.
yeah. That's something I really appreciated as well. But I guess to wrap this long story up, I would say I think I trained for a couple of months, maybe 3, 4, and like I was just in so much pain. And there was another guy from Turkey there, Utku. We would call him Uts in short, and he was really good. Like I had a lot of fun doing some training sessions with him as well. We just clicked instantly because we're from the same country. After one of the training sessions, I remember just chatting to him and we were talking about all our troubles. Like I was saying to him, like, oh, I wanted to catch the bus as I always do. So I tried running after it that other night and I just couldn't because I've taken so many body slams that training session that I couldn't do nothing but just walk like
Just
an old
couldn't
man.
move.
Like, yeah, I needed a cane
Yeah.
and like I was in so much pain. And then I was really hard on myself too, actually. Like whenever I didn't sleep at a perfect time, whenever I didn't eat properly, train properly, whenever I mess even something little up, I really beat myself up for that. And really, like, that's one of the things that really stopped me from doing training consistently. And what ended up making me give up is as I was telling this story of pain and suffering to my friend Oots, he kind of just said, "Oh yeah, I just take painkillers and show up the next day. It's cool. Like I'm not too bothered. I can just kind of trudge along and do my thing." And I was like, "I don't think I can do that. Like I just don't think um, I can live this lifestyle. I don't think I can take the pain. It is extremely addicting. It's an incredible feeling. Even just doing training matches where
Yeah.
nobody's there to watch you besides, your other fellow trainees and your coach. It is the most fun I have ever had in my life. Um, but yeah, just the lifestyle, like looking at it in the future, 10 years ahead. Um, my final decision was like, if I'm not gonna do this properly, I don't want to do it halfway as well.
Yeah.
Because wrestling, more than any other sport, it's so damaging to your body. You don't take body slams and suplexes and catch people with for like splashes and all that. In any other sport, like it just damages you so much. So if I'm gonna damage my body, I want to make sure that I give it my all. And
Yeah.
so
Put
that's
everything you can into it so it makes damaging yourself worth
Yeah.
it rather than
pretty much that's
Yeah.
the
And
perfect way to
dude,
put it.
that's no joke either, too. Like, real quick, like I for about a year or two helped with like a local indie wrestling promotion in and around Boston, and I I got to know a lot of the people there, uh, and even just like from my end doing video stuff, I got to kind of see like how like what goes into it. The moves they're doing look just as painful as they do like 50,000 feet away. Like so. And not only that, but the like financial aspect of it. Like when you see wrestlers on TV like saying that like they didn't have a penny to their name and like they would get paid like 10-20 bucks, like that's no joke. Like you know I I just experienced it firsthand from them. And even like I would leave some of those shows not even getting like paid. And granted, I'm not a wrestler, so when I get paid, it's like, oh, that's very nice, but like you don't have to. But it's like the financial aspect of it and like the dedication and the training, like it's none of it is a joke. So, um, you know, I feel like wrestling is like a lot more widely accepted now, but even, you know, every now and then you'll get people that like just think it's a joke, and it's like, I don't know, man. Like, look at the welts on people's backs and the fucking like calluses on their backs from
Yeah.
taking just bumps alone, rather than like all the other crazy moves that they're doing. So, you know, it's cool that you got to experience it, and you know, and see how like truly exhausting and like
Oh yeah.
how much energy it takes from you. Like it's no joke, man. Very cool that you got the opportunity to do that. We kind of wanted to we've had a blast getting to know you. And we kind of want to close out this episode by doing a little bit of something
Lightning round.
we call it lightning
Let's go,
round,
man.
baby. So we're gonna do
You ready?
the quick little lightning round of
ready.
questions about wrestling. So yeah, we're gonna hop right into it.
Who is your favorite wrestler right now at this very moment?
Could you guys give me a second?
Oh,
Right
wait, he
now,
can't
at this moment, I mean, we
Yeah.
talked about him a bunch in this episode, a couple times. This man
Yes.
right here. The Ring General. You just, man, come on.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah. Ludwig is future main event, brother. Hell yeah.
So
hell
good.
yeah.
I fucking love Gunther, dude.
Mhm.
So consistent. People are like calling him an NPC jobber in our comments. I'm like,
Dude,
dog,
our
have you watched a Gunther match?
People
Just-
in our
just-
comments are cooked sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
dude, the SummerSlam match when he won, like, people are like, oh, this was dog shit. This was what a terrible match. Like, Damian carried this. I'm like, what are you talking about, bro?
Right.
I won't deny that last part. Like Damien did a really good job in that.
Oh,
match,
yeah.
But Gunther is like, just go watch any match that he had in NXT UK or in NXT in general. Let alone like what he's doing
Well,
now.
even
but, like,
as the Intercontinental Champion, dude.
Bro, come
he
on.
put on some fucking bangers.
so he's your favorite wrestler right now. Who would you say your favorite like all time wrestler is?
I gotta go with Shawn Michaels as my number one because, like I said, in 2009 was when I started watching wrestling, and very soon after that, Shawn Michaels did the retirement match with The
Mhm.
Undertaker, and as a kid at a young age, that I mean, the match itself is maybe my favorite match of all time, anyways.
Me
But
too.
it just really affected me emotionally, and like Shawn Michaels would be it. CM Punk. I just like everything CM Punk does. Maybe in the last little while, maybe
Yeah, I was
ever
gonna
since he
say.
returned in from like at AEW, he's been a little shaky. But everything else he did before that, even in Ring of Honor, CM Punk
Mhm.
has been pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I guess circling back a little, what other feuds or like matches do you really enjoy going back and watching?
But CM Punk and Jeff Hardy,
Yeah.
come on, like
Their
such a good
SummerSlam
feud.
match,
Oh
the
yeah,
DLC,
Mhm.
Damn
But
good.
bro,
Steel
like,
Cage, man.
oh yeah,
Oh,
like
that
yeah.
that was emotional.
I just remember being so damn salty about Punk coming in and like GTSing Jeff Hardy after with the Money in the Bank and taking the title away from him. Like, just so good,
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
so great.
You
I wish
hated it, like
yeah.
we hated CM Punk. He made us hate him. And
Coming out as Jeff Hardy.
oh my
Oh,
god,
that
coming out
shit
as
was
Jeff
so
Hardy.
funny.
And then soon after too, when he moved on to like Rey Mysterio and he started
Mhm.
wearing the mask when he shaved his
Right,
head.
right.
So I feel like some of the stuff was goofy, but like that run of CM Punk from like 09 to like right up until he like came back as like best in the world. Well, actually, and everything, you know,
Right.
up until like after his
Basically,
whole title
09
reign.
till he left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, except like the last year that he was there and he was getting shafted.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree with you.
Like, I got a whole other couple, like, I don't know, Kenny Omega and Okada, not the feud itself, but like everything that's leading up with Kenny Omega to his first match with Okada, I thought was just so good.
Yeah.
That whole saga. And then, like, I really like the reason why I'm a big fan of Gunther, and I've always been for a long time, is because that match he had with JD McDonough, Jordan Devlin, all that time back, I think it was 2016 in Over the Top Wrestling. it's
Oh,
such a
you're talking like
clean,
old.
yeah, like baby face and heel. It's so good.
Yeah.
It even had the canceled guy David Starr in there. I thought he did a pretty
Mm.
good job as well. But yeah,
Yeah,
we
people
can't
don't
talk
give
about him.
JD enough credit too. Like he's a very good
Oh, come on,
wrestler.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
he's
like you guys even more now. Okay, let's go.
I watched my real introduction with him was like right before NXT like went to 2.0. He had a ladder match, I think, with God, it was either Kyle O'Reilly or Santos Escobar. I can't remember. But I think it was like a cruiserweight title match. Regardless, he was in a
Right.
ladder match and he was really good. And like, yeah, he might have a big head or whatever, but like, that's more storage for
Yeah, there's a
on how
lot
to
up
be a
in
good
there,
wrestler.
so
Yeah.
a lot of good stuff.
300 IQ. If
Exactly.
Vince McMahon was around, he would be like a really smart character or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Running around with the lab coat.
Are you have you been seeing the stuff about that new documentary coming out? The Mr. McMahon documentary?
Yeah, I saw the trailer, and I'll be honest, I just don't care about documentaries 99% of the time. But this is Vince freaking McMahon. This is basically God in wrestling, so I'm interested. Like, I really want to see
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
A big component of it too was they started filming before all of
Right.
that stuff came out this past year.
Yeah,
so.
it was supposed to originally come out during the pandemic. I think 2021 was when it was
Ooh.
supposed to release, and then all the shit happened, so they started production again and to cover all of the later stuff. And a big criticism from the trailer was, oh, you have all these people in it, it's just going to be, they're just going to be hyping up Vince and all this shit.
Yeah.
But the producers came out and they were like, no, we're going to shit on him. Don't worry. Like,
I'm sure
Spoilers,
that we're going to
come
get
on.
a lot of pro Vince and we're going to get a lot of anti Vince. I really don't see it being biased at this point because then, one side looks bad or worse than the other. So I'm super interested in seeing how, like, I'm gonna try my best to binge that, but
yeah, pretty
it's
soon. Next week it comes out.
next week. Yep.
The detail about it, like being reworked ever since 2021, I have no idea about.
Yeah.
That's an insane amount of time. But we're all pro Vince here, right?
Oh yeah, I love him so much, man. I'm a big
What
fan.
a great guy.
Great
Did
guy.
nothing wrong. Totally
guy, did
nothing
nothing
ever wrong in our life.
He just wanted what was best for business. At the
Oh,
end of the
yeah.
day.
He made wrestling what it is today. He's an absolute titan.
I'm gonna bleep
Well,
all
and
this.
that's like
Okay.
that's actually like again, obviously, like fuck Vince McMahon. I'll be definitely not the first to say it, but he did turn WWE and pro wrestling into what it is today. And
Which is
Triple H is now carrying the torch. He might be doing some things a little differently, maybe some things not how we like it, but I definitely think that we would not be getting some of the cool stuff we're getting today if Vince was like still in power.
Cody Rhodes is the WWE champion, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation that we have.
Yeah.
Actually, you could probably find a video somewhere on Dropkick to be talking about it kind of recently. Somewhere around there. What's your favorite pay-per-view or premium live event that you've watched?
My go-to answer to this is WrestleMania 19,
Ooh,
just
okay.
because it was just such a nice card, and like you had Stone Cold and The Rock going at it, which wasn't even the main event.
Yeah.
How's that happen? Then you had the
Right.
crazy main event with Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar, and it wasn't like an insanely amazing match, but the ending you'll never forget.
Shooting
what
star
happens to Brock.
press.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Dunked himself. I mean,
know.
yeah, you had John Cena who was still doing the Togonomics gimmick. I even like the Titantron, the whole stage setup. Like it's interesting, like dominoes and just every match had something cool. I think we even had Chris Jericho and HBK there with the ending where they were hugging and then Jericho does the turn. Just like every match is so good and so
Right.
memorable.
You can't and hey man, you can't forget about the match featuring everybody's favorites, Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon.
Right. I in
Come
fact
on.
did forget about that, but yeah.
Oh man.
How could you forget? It's everyone's favorites.
Yeah,
In
totally.
the same match.
It's actually my favorite match of all time. So no. I'm kidding.
What about Winston Brett, man? That was a banger.
God.
How about right now in wrestling? What's your favorite thing going on?
Like I wanted to really like CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, and I do to a certain extent, but I feel like they're just not delivering on the level that they could be delivering. So it's
You think
tough
that has
right
to
now.
do with the bracelet?
Yeah, a little bit. Like just
Well, thankfully
yeah,
it's
go ahead.
gone now, but you know.
Yeah.
Are
Like,
you at least are you excited for Hell in a Cell?
okay?
How do you feel about
am-
this?
Basically, for Bad Blood, we're gonna be like doing a whole bunch on an organization, and we're gonna bring people into like one room, and it's gonna be like 30, 40 people, and then me and a bunch of my other Turkish YouTuber friends, with alongside those people, we're gonna do a live reaction.
Oh,
So I'm
that's
excited in
awesome.
the sense of that.
Oh, cool.
But like for the paper itself, I'm not really excited. But I did find an answer. What I'm really excited about, just because I like these two wrestlers so much, is Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness. Like, I wanted to
Yes.
see Nigel return in the rings for so long, and
Yeah.
now the fact that he's back, and like his first time he was back in the ring, he was actually like the best wrestler in
So
that ring. By the
good.
way, he was so
Yeah,
good.
he was the
was
highlight
so
of that
good.
match, dude.
Exactly. So yeah.
I was hoping that would happen earlier.
Mhm.
And I think the way we got to it is a little confusing.
Absolutely.
But all things considered, I have been begging for this match. You can
Same.
ask Mufussy.
It's true.
Since we started this
Months.
podcast.
Yeah, we
I've
started
been-
that's
this in
cool, that's
May, and I
begging.
think you've
I
been
said-
talking about it since like June.
Dude, well, they were
So good.
planting the seeds so early. He's
It's
been
true.
Mhm.
trash talking Danielson on commentary for the last year. Like, it's just I don't know. I saw it coming a mile away, and I'm the only one who ever saw it coming.
That's-
No one
I'm so
else.
happy.
Um,
Let's go, man. I'll say
gonna
this.
be
I'll say
good.
this quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not in the near future, but Netflix. I'm super excited about Netflix and what's that gonna look like. And I'm really excited about
You're
Raw being
lucky
2 hours.
internationally because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
everything's gonna be on Netflix, and then us, we still have to deal
Just
with
kidding.
fucking 12 streaming services, bro.
Right.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
thank you, Kero, for joining us on today's episode. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, and I definitely think we should do this again sometime, and you know, definitely talk more wrestling.
It's time for your shameless plug. Tell the people where they can find you.
Right.
We'll link everything down below. Go.
All right. Well, before I do that, the same goes out to you guys. This was really fun. Like I feel like we just barely scratched the surface.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what
And I would like to do this again if it's possible. Let's do it. Where you can find me is Kero Valentine on YouTube. And then I do, if you're Turkish for some reason, you know what? I'll throw that out as well.
Yep.
Kero. You can find me on YouTube like that. And I do a lot of the same thing, but in Turkish. And then Kiss the Ring, where it's me, Kenny Bomb, just Brian, just talking about wrestling and just wrestling all the time. Everything you might think of.
Dropkick the
And-
Commute and Kiss the Ring collab when?
Ooh, you know
Let's do
what?
it.
We'll work on that.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. And this was a pleasure. I had a lot of fun. Like it's 12 a.m. I think it's midnight, but I'm still feeling energetic. So fun time.
You got
Glad
the-
we
you
can
got the
hype you
zoomies.
up.
Yeah.
Well, thank you folks for watching the video. Of course, if you liked what you saw, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Let us know what you thought in the comments of this episode, and you can catch us on here weekly talking about what's going on in wrestling and certain occasions where we have guests on. Find us on TikTok, Spotify, Instagram, X, and the whole shebang, as it were. Mufussy, if you don't have anything else for the wonderful people, then
I don't
say
think so. I think that's
give-
it.
I say we give that a
Beep
beep.
beep.
beep. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Dropkick the Commute, shining bright in the night. Join the conversation.